Hello, hello. Today is not my usual stomping ground. I am on a daily walk with my little one. We try to get out at least once a day, but sometimes twice a day, just to get some sunlight, some natural, direct vitamin D. And especially when you work from home, it can be easy to just stay inside. But I noticed that when I get sunlight, I feel better. My brain works better. And I'm just here to give you an update on cosmetology school. Why on a Saturday, you ask? Yes, today is Saturday. I have 2 appointments today. One is at 1:30, just a quick braid down for a crochet install, and then a sister locks retightening at 3:30. Amor woke me up at 6 a.m. this morning. When he's with his dad, they sleep in. They sleep in till like 9 o'clock, sometimes 10 o'clock, because his dad works late overnight. And I'm just like, how do y'all get to sleep in? But when I'm actually available in the mornings, I am woken up at 5:45. Neither here nor there. We got up early and I was able to get some online work done. So the online portion of this school is pretty much being conducted by Milady, the producers or the publishers of the book. Trying to keep an eye on him. They also created the online course, I believe through an app called CIMA, I want to say. Maybe it's not an app, but like an online version called CIMA. That's CIMA. They have the portion where you can do online on the computer, but they also have an app, which is amazing. But pretty much in order to graduate, you need 500 hours in person doing practical work, and then 500 hours doing the book work, the technical stuff. Learning about sanitation, learning about business, learning about all the meticulous and detail-oriented things in terms of vocabulary, skin, learning how to, soft skills, all those things. So I have 10 hours in the books already. I got my access on Thursday, right after school. And I pretty much did 5 hours my first day. Yeah. And then, because I'm trying to catch up, I'm technically 3 weeks behind because I got my access 3 weeks behind. And according to ChatGPT, in order to calculate 500 hours or accumulate 500 hours by graduation, I need to either do 2 hours every single day or 3 hours 5 days a week. I'm thinking 2 hours every day, maybe even 3 hours every day to make up for the days where I can't. But the school only requires you do 2 chapters a week. So doing the math on all that is exhausting. But ultimately, I prefer to just do 2 hours a day. And if I finish if I do more than 2 chapters a week, that's fine. It's more about the hours. Yes, you have to complete the chapters, but you definitely have to calculate 500 hours. Some students have told me that they finished the book work, they finished the quizzes and all that, but still had 200 hours left. So now you got to go back and reread, study. And the thing about the app is it tracks your activity. So you cannot be away from your computer more than 15 minutes at a time. Yes, you have to be clicking around. You have to be highlighting things in the book. You cannot just leave the app open and then go take a shower and take a nap and come back and you've done 10 hours. It is tracking your activity. So that's the tricky part about it. You have to be actively studying. Since I'm 3 weeks behind, I'm technically about 45 hours behind. So I'm gonna just double up on hours for the next couple of weeks to catch up. Pretty much I need to do about five to 6 hours a day until Thursday, and I will be caught up in terms of the number of hours I need to accumulate. I'm sure that all means the same thing. Now, I love the online version of school because I think there are certain things in class that we go over, but that we just can't go over in depth because we only have 4 hours. So she is trying to teach us the practical aspects. I believe it's practical and then something else. I don't think it's technical. I might be saying that wrong. But she's teaching us the practical aspects of the exam. Of doing hair. Things that you actually need to know to be a successful stylist in the practical sense. And she does go over business and things like that, but most of the class is focused on styling. We have 2 books that we are going to be studying from. It is the Milady Foundations book, and then just the Milady Cosmetology book. Come on, baby. One thing that I love about the Foundations book is it gets down to the nitty-gritty. Chapter 1 of the Foundations book focuses on soft skills. I believe that is the actual title of that chapter, or it might be life skills. But under that life skills chapter, it focuses on soft skills, it focuses on professionalism, it focuses on time management. It requires you to create a mission statement for yourself or your business. It talks to you about setting long-term and short-term goals. And even though that's something I feel like I always do, this book just forced me to be more specific about my business. For instance, I have a short-term goal to finish cosmetology school in 2026. Of course, that's just duh. I'm in cosmetology school, that's a goal. But then what next? Obviously, my next goal is I'm trying to do hair. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. I'm chasing this kid around. I'm trying to do silk presses. I'm trying to do color. I'm trying to cut. But how? How do I do that? How am I going to let the world know I'm done with cosmetology school? How am I going to promote to the world that this is a service I'm offering? How am I going to get better at that? Am I going to look up some specialty classes in cutting, in blowouts? What am I going to do? So having that category of the book helped me write those things down and put them on paper. The interesting part about this online version is there is a test for everything. So I don't even know how you can just look at the book or leave the book open and walk away. There is a test after every section of the book, or a quiz. Usually the quizzes are about five questions each, pretty much on what you just learned. And then at the end of each chapter is an exam, 20 questions. It lets you retake the quizzes and the tests as many times as you want. It's unlimited, but you do get a grade. So you pretty much have to pass because it gives you a pass or a fail grade. So I'm trying to chase this kid. So I'm honestly, right now I have like a 98% because all my quizzes I've been getting hundreds. But sometimes I'll have an exam where I'll miss one. And I'm like, do I really want to retake this whole quiz just to get one more right? So I'm letting go of my perfectionism a little bit because I am the type to go for the 100%. But I'm also like, I'll take a 90. I'm missing one, 19 out of 20. 19 out of 20. I'm good. But if I miss one on the 5 quizzes, I'll retake that one for sure. But I'm still debating. I still have time to go back and retake them So I might just go back to get the 100, because it does tell you which one you got wrong. So it's just a matter of me trying to preserve time. We're going this way, baby. So I'll probably do that at the end once I'm finished. If I still have hours I need to make up, I'll probably go back and try to get hundreds on all the quizzes I got one wrong, just for the sake of recapping and making sure I know all the things. The next chapter is about professional image. It is focusing on presentation. It's focusing on hygiene, because you are going to be in proximity to another client at all times. For the most part, you are up on top of each other, making sure that you take a bath every day, which might not be normal for some people, making sure that you have deodorant, making sure that you have used some cleansing wipes, making sure that you not necessarily have perfume, because that can be irritating to some people, but having a hygiene kit that you bring to work so that you can freshen up after each client, a toothbrush and toothpaste so that you can brush your teeth if you eat lunch on the job. Just focusing on your professional image and presentation, and realizing that people don't want a musky hairstylist. People don't want you, like sometimes I'm doing sister locks, and because I'm short I have to step up on a stool and I'm like up in her face. So excuse my vulgarity, but if my vajayjay is not fresh, she might smell something, you know, like, girl, did you shower? So being clean, just thinking about your presentation. You are a walking billboard. So if you are a makeup artist, your makeup needs to be done. If you are a hairstylist, your hair needs to be done. Your hair needs to be presentable. You need to look the part. You need to dress the part. You don't have to be wearing the latest styles. You don't have, I wouldn't say the latest styles, but you don't have to wear anything expensive, but you need to look trendy. You need to look like you are aware of what era you are in and what you are coming to serve. You need to look like your clients need to be inspired by your look. That's how you are sometimes going to get clients. A lot of times, especially when I had sister locks, a girl would stop me and say, who did your hair? I want that style. And now I can say, I can do it for you. So thinking about that, thinking about your presentation online, whether that be Instagram or YouTube or TikTok. The book says that in marketing, they say, if you're not on the internet, you don't exist. And as icky as marketing and promoting can feel, especially for me as someone who is, it's hard to say I consider myself a shy person, but I will say I consider myself to be more introverted than extroverted. I feel like when I need to be extroverted, I will do it. But my natural state is introverted. I was an only child for the most of my life. I've got a half brother and a half sister, but I'm the only child between my parents. So I kind of think I move in the world like an only child in a lot of ways. So I'm okay being alone. I'm okay with silence. I'm okay not talking. I'm okay not posting. So sometimes I have to remind myself to post, to put my information out there, to show my work, to do things like that. So it talks about just being ahead of the game and finding ways to create an online presence while still maintaining professionalism. It talks about not talking about personal things with your clients. Even though sometimes we do get personal, I do get personal with my clients from time to time, being careful with that. We're in a tumultuous time when it comes to politics. So some of my clients are on one side and some of my clients are on the other side. And how do I navigate those conversations? And when you are uncomfortable, finding a way to change the subject or change the conversation, and not letting your views get in the way of how you conduct business. Some people might say, oh, if you vote on this side, I'm not servicing you. But a client might say the same thing. If you believe this, I don't want you doing my hair. Are you gonna let that affect your business? Me personally, I am not. So when it comes to discussing certain things about politics or religion, I tend to err on the side of caution. I wouldn't say I mirror my clients per se to just agree with what they believe, but I always respect their sentiments, and I allow myself to be a venting space for them without feeling the need to share my opinion unless they ask for it. And usually, if they ask for my opinion, I try to give advice based on what I think, not that they want to hear, but what I think is going to be best for them and their situation and their lifestyle and their beliefs. So if you believe in this one thing, I'm not trying to convince you not to believe that. I probably more so try to teach you how to better communicate your beliefs with respect, with tact, and it also discusses he's here now. It also discusses not going back and forth on social media in the comments, not arguing with people. That happens a lot, where people just on the internet arguing. And it's like, first of all, time is money. How do you have the time? How do you have the time to be here arguing with people? I sure don't. But to always respond. So there's a tricky part with that. How do I always respond when I have negative comments or whatever the case may be? You ignore those negative comments. You focus on the positive, and you respond to the comments and the inquiries that uplift your business. I feel like that might have been the gist of chapter 2. And chapter 3 I just completed, which hit me with a doozy. Okay? Chapter 3 caught me way off guard. Chapter 3 is focusing on, I want to say it's communication, client communication, and consultations. I'm not sure if that's the title of it, but that was the focus. And it talks about how to conduct a client consultation, keeping a client intake form, a client service record to keep track of all the services you do for them, whether it be color, what type of color you used, what type of products you used, and being able to use that to further make recommendations to your client, or to just keep track of what services you're providing. Also, having your clients do a questionnaire or an intake form before every appointment so that you just understand the status of their hair care, especially if they went to somebody else before you and then came back to you and then went back, like the people that like to client hop, being able to stay aware of where they are. Sorry, I'm out of breath. So the thing that hit me for a doozy is the exams for this chapter 3. You still got regular quizzes, but then I get to one question that says, it's time for you to conduct a client consultation. Take a classmate or a family member and do a consultation. So I'm like, what? So I'm like, okay, that's easy. I can do a consultation, that's easy. Crossing the street. But then it says, I want you to film it with your phone and upload the video. What? I'm like, yo, that is a lot of work. But that lets me know that the online version is not just a bunch of quizzes and tests. It is also, you are going to have to answer questions. So that was a doozy. I haven't done that part yet, so my husband is going to be my client. And then it gets to another section where it says, your client is running 15 minutes late. They just called you. How do you conduct that conversation? Hello. How do you conduct that conversation? And then it says, record yourself on the phone and collect the audio of you talking to a client about being 15 minutes late. So I'm like, okay, so I got to make a video. I got to make some audio. So the online version is not just a quick and easy process. It is going to ask some things of you, and you are going to have to deliver. So I'm okay with that. I have to be okay with that. And that's where we are.